to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It is How to Tarot Tuesday. And what that is every week we talk about one of the 78 card tarot. The first part of the video, we talk about the symbolism of the card. And what I do is the first deck is always the Rider-Waite's Myth. The second and third decks I choose based on the symbolism of the card. And what we do is we go through and we just talk about the meaning of the card and how to read it when you're reading tarot. Now, the second half of the video is a card reading. And what that is we go ahead and you, the viewer, get to choose from those 3 tarot decks. And we do a quick spread to see how the card in question manifests in your life currently. So the first half of the video is an how-to. The second half is a card reading. And at any time, if you ever want to skip straight to the reading part, you can do so. That the timestamps are in the description box. So if you do not want to watch the how-to part, no obligation, just go ahead and click on, there's a link that says pick a deck, and that would take you straight to there's a deck description, and then there is the pick your deck. So you can jump straight to the part of the reading that you want at any time. And so, no obligation. The how-to part is always really fun. Just because if you feel like a card is showing up more prevalently, whether you're watching videos for other readers or watching videos on my channel, sometimes going back and visiting the How to Tarot, like if you're watching a weekly energy card reading, which I also post here on my channel on Saturdays. So if you see like, 10 of Cups showing up in that reading, you can come back to the How to Tarot and say, okay, this is how it means. Or this is, just a little bit of elaboration if the card is showing up predominantly in your energy or in a reading. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get started in just a minute. Again, if you ever want to jump straight to the how-to part or any other part of the video, all the timestamps are in the description box, as are the names and the authors of the decks that I use. So I'll have 3 tarot decks, and I do clarify. And today we're going to be clarifying using an angel deck. So that also is listed in the description box. But before we get started, today has been a real mellow day. I am wearing my pearls. So if you follow my channel, you know I love my rings. And it's funny, the moon has been in Pisces, and I have a very Cancerian chart, so I've been feeling really lovey, I've been feeling really dreamy, very, just very relaxed, which is wonderful. And it's interesting, I decided to wear pearls today, and I'm wearing pearl earrings, and they're not expensive. They're like fake pearl earrings that, and it's funny, I found them at Macy's. They're what they call the Grace Kelly collection, and they're these really big pearls. And it's interesting, when I was a teenager, I had a set of earrings like this, but they were much smaller. And I felt like, I saw these and I was like, oh my gosh, they're huge. They're glass pearls, but when you look at them, you can't tell the difference. You would think, they look like, royal pearls, right? And what I didn't realize is that it's from the Grace Kelly collection, and it's sold at department stores. I think it is also sold on QVC. I saw like a video for it. But what I thought was neat is that these are the earrings that Grace Kelly owned, and apparently she wore them a lot. She wore them on her wedding to the Prince of Monaco, and she wore them in just about, every time you see her wearing these earrings. And it turns out that I think the story was, and I watched the video, the tutorial on it, they were a gift from a suitor from when she was a teenager. And they must have been a very special gift, because she wore them all the time, and she wore them on her wedding day. So they were very sentimental to her. And honestly, she's so beautiful. And they're big earrings, but I get such compliments on them. So just to let you know, since we're talking about such a happy card, I'm wearing my pearls, and the pearls is the birthstone of the sign of Cancer, and I have a stellium of Cancer in my chart. So I'm definitely in my feels and ready to do the read. All right, so enough blabbing, enough fashion and talk and stuff like that. We'll go ahead and jump right in. Now, today we are talking about the happiest card. If you had to look at the top 10 or top 5 cards that we all looked forward to in a read, I think the 10 of Cups is probably right at the number 1, right? And when you look at the 10 of Cups, you see a rainbow above in the sky, in a blue sky, and it has the 10 cups, right? Underneath, you see a blue sky, not a cloud in the sky, and then you see green pastures and green trees. You see a beautiful little house, and you see a man and a woman who just have their arms up in jubilation, and then you see two children dancing and playing beside them. And what I love about the scene is that there's a simplicity to it. There's the house in the distance is not a mansion. It's not a manor, right? And the people are dressed simply, but they have a clear river, they have a little house, they're surrounded by greenery and abundance, and they have a rainbow above them. So very clearly it's a card of happiness, right? And as a reader, when I see this card, the first and foremost thing that I think is a happiness that money can't buy. That is what I think of when I see the 10 of cups. It's like that rainbow. It's that happiness that doesn't come from any type of, I mean, it can be financially related, but in the 10 of Pentacles, you see a mansion, right? And you see pentacles everywhere. You see financial abundance, right? And you see almost like a cityscape. Here it is definitely more country. It's simple, and there's a house, and there's a river, and there's a clear sky, and there's a rainbow, and there's happy children, and a husband and wife. The other thing I get is that the husband and wife look like equal, right? They're parallels to each other. They're both. He has his arm around her, and they're both looking the same direction, right? So when you first look at this card, the first thing that it means is it means joy. It means joy. It means a happiness. It's like, and with it being cups, that's an emotional happiness. It's being contented. And different from, we talked about the 9 of Cups last week, it's a contentment that's just stems from a well-being, right? Just I think all is right in my world. All is right in my world, right? A lot of times it's radiating love. It's a good fortune, but it's like an emotional good fortune. Again, you see a couple that's content and happy with one another. They don't look like they're rich, but they have enough. They have each other. They have their house. They have their children. The children are happy. So a lot of times it just talks about, a lot of times this does talk about a lasting happiness in a union. It can be that happy marriage between two people who just really get one another. It can also be a happy family life, like when you genuinely enjoy each other's company, or when you have good times together. That's definitely the meaning. Sometimes it can be a tranquility. It's interesting. I always film my videos on the weekend prior to the Tuesday, and it's almost like that easygoing kind of Sunday energy where everyone's kind of doing their own thing, but everybody's in unity, right? Everyone's just happy. Um, it's funny. I remember I have a lot of good memories with my family. I have my sister, my brother-in-law, and I have two nieces. And I remember one time it was so funny. I came over, I was visiting my sister, and my nieces were sitting on the couch. And just a really quick backstory. When my sister was a teenager, she sung in choir. And so they evaluated her voice. Like, they say, okay, what level are you? A bass? Are you a treble? Are you a soprano? And my sister was gauged. She was determined to be a second soprano. Like, she's not Mariah Carey alto, but she is a second soprano where she's got a good pitch. And my younger niece has spent years in doing theater throughout high school. And my older niece has a beautiful voice. She's never been evaluated, but I'm almost positive that she's a soprano as well. And then I've sung, when I was in elementary school, I sung a few solos, and I get complimented on my voice. But I've never been evaluated either, but us being related, all four of us being women and being in the same vocal range, I can only imagine that we have like a 4-part harmony. And it was funny. I walked in, and my nieces were doing that kid thing. They're teenagers, and they were both laying on the couch. And my sister was in the kitchen, and their mom and they were laying on the couch and they're like, Mom, Mom, Mamacita, Mom, Mom. They were doing that like a Stewie thing from Family Guy. They were like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And and Mom was like, stop saying my name. You know, my sister was like, oh my God, you know, and it was so funny that I walked in and I was just like, Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia. And before you know it, we all four, without prompting, broke into the entire intro to Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. And oh my God, it sounded so good. I wish the camera was rolling, because, you know. And ever since then, I've been wanting us to do a Christmas song. Like I really want us to do Carol of the Bells. I think we can pull it off. But everyone ignores me when I suggest it. But but it was like one of those moments. Have you ever had those moments where it was just so funny or so creative and just so cool, and like all of your talents, you know? So it's kind of like that. If you're happy with your family life, if you express delight, or, you know, a collaboration, kind of a natural enjoyment of one another, it's kind of a security, and it's a prosperity. It's an emotional completion that you get with your relationships. Now, this card can come up in friendships as well, you know, where you feel like, you know, like where friends are family, you know, if you see this next to the Three of Cups. But a lot of times it is that kind of marital bliss. This is actually a very blessed card. And I'll go ahead and go to the second deck. I chose the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. And I think this is really beautiful card because you see the same rainbow. And just a real quick, I always audition. I quote unquote audition my cards, where sometimes it's tough. You know, some how to tarots, I know exactly which decks I'm going to use, but this one was a little bit of a tough one. I really did want to do I looked at the Morgan Greer, and I also looked at the Starseeker Tarot, because those were also really beautiful family images. Morgan Greer was nice because it was just two hands. It didn't necessarily show children. So again, sometimes this card does show children in it, so you think family, not just singleton. But this can be that kind of marital bliss, or I think of it as that happiness that you have well after, like the happiness that comes from a really good pairing. And that's when you marry the person that you're really friends with. That what was it? I heard a quote the other day that said, the person that you are happy to be bored with, because marriage is very boring. I do also think it's that person that, you know, you when times get tough, you bond together, right? And you laugh together. That's the other thing. And so this card, I thought, you know, is a tough decision, but I went with this card because what you see is, you see that same rainbow, except you see a couple with a child. And what I think is beautiful is you look at the skin tone of the woman, right? And the baby looks like a mix of the two parents, but you look at the skin tone. These are mer people, right? I almost kind of think of Little Mermaid. You can kind of look at the, you know, the Big D movie version, where Poseidon, you know, finally gave his hand in marriage. But a lot of times it is that kind of union that just turned out really well, where you and your spouse are partners, right? It's like that serenity that you have. The other thing that this card can mean is that sometimes if there has been some spats, or the other thing that I get, and what I loved and what made me chose this card, is that this is very clear that there are two families that are bonded in marriage. They're bonded with a child, you know, the birth of a child. You know, this is a grandchild, and then his parents, and clearly, and what you see is definitely with them being mermaids, you can see that there's different backgrounds, right? So sometimes this can be the peaceful merging of two different backgrounds. Maybe you have a different religious belief. Maybe you're a different ethnicity from your spouse. Maybe you have of a different socioeconomic class. Maybe your husband makes more money, or you make more money. Maybe you're a CEO and they're a mechanic. But what you see is that when this card comes up, it's almost like a peaceful resolution, right? Whatever differences that you have, it's going to come to being at peace with one another again. The other thing that it is it's compatibility. Again, you might be of different different backgrounds, but when you get together, these two people are perfect for each other. A lot of times it's a spiritual happiness, especially with the rainbow and all the cups. So it can be like a kind of a realization of your spiritual ideals and the merging of that within a family dynamic. Sometimes it can be sharing of spiritual goals with your family. Sometimes it could be a happy occasion, like here it can be the birth of a child, it can be, it can be the purchase of a house, or, it can be an announcement that someone's pregnant. If you see this next to like the Empress card or the Emperor card, um, sometimes it can be a celebration or a reason to give thanks. A lot of times it can be a wedding, just because if you see this next to the Four of Wands, because the merger, of two families, especially with this card and this imagery. But a lot of times it's kind of that balance of peace in the home, right? It's the if you see this card come out after like a conflict, you know that peace will be restored. The other thing that I kind of get is that I kind of see this as being that there's so much love, that it's really that I can't stay angry at you card, which is really great. A lot of times it can be referring to a family commitment, but it's a more of an emotional one. Again, when the Ten of Pentacles come out, sometimes that's more of a financial or a monetary. Maybe you work with your family. Maybe your family has some kind of financial investment. Maybe they helped you buy your house or something like that. With this is more of a keeping the peace on an emotional level, and just keeping everyone happy. So again, if you see this next to a court card, sometimes it can be someone that's in the family that just always makes things right. Maybe dad comes home and, if you're a mom and you've been fighting with the kids, maybe you're the mom that, helps keep everything smooth amongst the family. But it's a lot of times it's just that support. The other thing is that it's like an emotional support from your family. It's like making everything good again. Sometimes it can be that bonding with family members. Again, just that emotional connection. So, maybe you doesn't even have to be a social event. Maybe you finally saw your family. If you're watching this video at the time it posts, we're still in COVID world, and I see those posts where people have not seen each other, like really seen each other in person in like 6 months to a year. And it's like, oh my goodness. And it is that just, gosh, I missed you so much, that connection. The other thing is I definitely get, just the opposite talents. Sometimes this can be family in the sense like maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's an uncle that you just really feel connected with. And just like friendships, when you get around this person, it feels like, like you've never been apart. But, but the symbolism here is definitely like an emotional ideal, right? It's just that happiness. Now sometimes this can be a dream state. It can be what you're dreaming to happen. Maybe you really want, maybe your goal is a settled emotional life. If you see this next to the Seven of Cups, or if you see this next to the Three of Wands, maybe you're really waiting, you're waiting to get that kind of emotional kind of happiness. But a lot of times it's like, again, if you see this next to a marriage card, it's just one of those things where, it's going to be a pleasant outcome. The other thing I get is that if you're traveling or if you're going places with family, this is also a good indicator that you're going to have a good time, right? It's going to be a happy, joyous, nobody getting on each other's nerves. And if they do, that you're going to, that even if there is a little few spats, it's like they'll smooth over really quickly. Now, the last card that I got, again, the Morgan Greer deck I was very drawn to as well, because it was more like two people. But I decided to go ahead and go with the Line Strider Tarot by Cilio Thompson. And I always like this card. What you see is you see two birds, and they look like the same. I always say when two people are in love, you know how sometimes you feel like they look alike, even though they're completely different people. And what I thought is so cute is that these look like lovebirds, right? And what I thought was adorable is that you see that the male bird looks like he has a little stocking cap on, which kind of reminds me of that story, that Christmas story, The Night Before Christmas, where, father was in his stocking cap and gown. But really what it is a lot of times the Ten of Cups, whether there's children or not children, it is that happiness. So even if you don't have kids, there's no pressure with that. I mean, certain depictions of this do show either a baby or older children. But when you see the Ten of Cups with just two, and Morgan Greer is like that too. You see two hands holding cups, holding one cup with a rainbow coming out of it. What you see is you see two people who are incredibly happy with one another. So definitely you can see it as those marriages that have lasted decades and you're still happy together, right? And when I see the stocking cap, I think of turning in, I think of that routine when you go to bed, right? And I also think don't go to bed angry, right? I think of one of those partnerships where you're not, it isn't that you don't argue, it's just that when you do argue, you fight fair, you talk it out, and then you come to an understanding with one another. You work it out, right? And it makes for a compatible marriage, right? So when you see the Ten of Cups, it definitely bodes well. It also can just mean your loved ones, people that you care about. It can be friends that you love like a brother, like you love like a sister, that you love like family, and just being emotionally contented. Just being, again, it's the happiness that money cannot buy. Now, the other thing that I get is that if, just real quick before we look at the reverse, is that sometimes it can be doing away with hostilities. Like, the other thing I get with this is that you refuse to be bogged down by ugliness, right? You don't, when it comes in an emotional sense, it's like you're not going to let anybody steal your sunshine, right? There's a 90s song, don't, I think it's Vitamin C, don't, steal, you're going to steal my sunshine. And honestly, when you look at the lyrics of that song, it's really not what you think it is. It's like a completely different song. I'm probably just going with the main verse and not, I try not to do that. I try to know what the meaning of the music is, because music is very powerful, conveying messages. But the other thing is when it comes to situations, it's just going to be a moment of joy. When this card comes up, like again, sometimes you've been having a really rough week and then you see the Ten of Cups, it's like, oh my gosh, you're going to have a moment where you really forget all your troubles, right? The other thing is if it is relationship based, you either imagine like a really dreamy, beautiful future with this person. Either that or this really, when it comes up next to the Two of Cups, sometimes this could really be your perfect match, right? Also, it can be a good weekend with your family or friends where you just feel so good. Sometimes it can be a happy traveling moment, or it can be something that comes up. Like again, just I always say this is kind of my smile of the day, but it is just that joyous moment that just makes you feel on top of the world, like really blessed, really blessed. Like it's almost like you don't have a care in the world. And the other thing I do see is that with this is a lot of times this is kind of the honeymoon card, where the person that you're with can really do no wrong. You just feel like everything is right. The other thing is that I do see this card as far as timeline goes is that it usually is around that area of life where you just got married, you just bought a house, you just found out you were pregnant, or you just had a baby, or, it is just kind of that it is that really blissful time in your life where everything is just, going from, boom, 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 one thing to the next, and you're just there's one more cup and one more cup. It just keeps on coming, right? It's just a really joyous time. Now, when it comes to people, this can represent someone that is in a really good marriage. It can be someone is a really good father or mother. Like they always have just that happy spirit, and they always smooth things over. Like they see the good in life. I just feel like people who have this energy are just such a joy to be around because they legitimately have such an open heart, and it's almost like that happiness rubs off on you too, and you all know those people that are just if you see this card next to like the High Priestess, this is one of those people who are just inherently happy. What is it? There's a quote. I think it is John Bon Jovi. It's by a musician who says, he was talking about his wife, and he's like, my wife doesn't rely on me for happiness. She is inherently happy on her own, and she just spreads that with everybody else. This is that kind of energy when you see it next to a person. This person is just content with their life or their place. When it comes to situations, this could be a job promotion that you've really wanted. It can be your dream job when you finally get it and you just feel like you're walking on the sunshine. If you see this next to the sun, oh my gosh. Again, if you've been trying for a baby and you find out you're pregnant, when you actually have a baby, when you have a good day and you just love, when you love being around your kids, or you have that happy moment. But also when it comes to people, sometimes you can see this, and again in a context, if you look at your husband or look at your wife like they are your Ten of Cups, that's, they bring you joy, right? This person brings you happiness. The other thing I kind of get is that there is a lot of balance here, right? It's like an equal, it's like a shared happiness, but this can be your own happiness as well. But it is, again, it's almost like that contentment you find within yourself. The other thing I get is that this is happiness that nothing or no circumstance or other person can ever take from you, because it's truly in your heart. Now, when you look at the 10 in reverse, just like many, there are no, I always say there's no negative cards in tarot. But when you look at it in the reverse, whenever anytime a card shows up in the reverse, it either means that the energy is dissipating, that it's blocked, or it's the extreme of that energy. So the first thing that we kind of see, when, especially with it being such a positive card, is that a lot of time we think of it as disrupted joy. Like maybe you are happy with your life and then something is purposely coming in and turning over your apple cart. The other thing that I kind of get is sometimes it's delayed joy. And again, you want to look at surrounding cards. Maybe the other thing is that sometimes if you see the 10 of Cups in reverse next to like the 7 of Cups, it is almost like, it is sometimes a little bit of an imagination card where you're envisioning, perfect happiness, and then it's just not coming, or it's delayed, or it's just not manifesting for you. Sometimes it can be disharmony, like that perfect family life that you're imagining is not what you think it is. The other thing is that sometimes it can be somebody who's trying to make it seem like everything is perfect in their world, but underneath the surface, it's not. If you see the 10 of Cups in reverse next to Swords cards, it can definitely be that social media where you're putting up like a happy front, but underneath in real life, it's, IRL, it's not all that. Sometimes it can be marital conflict or incompatibility. It can be discontent, or just, sometimes you went in expecting the 10 of Cups and then you didn't get that. And, maybe this person really kind of is making you miserable. Just to share a little bit of personal for a minute, it's funny. I try not to share that too much, but I always felt like in my life, anytime I get into relationships, I have a bad habit of kind of showing almost my bad side first, because I almost take it from a stance that I want to be honest. I don't, I think sometimes in dating, we show like the very veneered kind of polished side of ourselves. It's almost like, there's a phrase, in Pride and Prejudice. There's a character, Charlotte Lucas, who's a neighbor of Elizabeth Bennet, and it's Elizabeth Bennet's best friend. And she's an older woman. She's very homely. She's not as pretty as all the other girls, and she literally just she kind of jumps into a marriage with a really kind of dull man, with Elizabeth's cousin, Mr. Collins. And Charlotte really kind of says something that's a little disturbing, where she says, sometimes it's best to not know the shortcomings of your partner. Just go into marriage and they'll find out later. That phrase really sticks with me, because I kind of think of the 10 of Cups in reverse, because it's like, you know, as bad as it is, and believe me, I've run into trouble with it. Sometimes I get into a relationship and I start saying, okay, well, I get moody, I get this, I get that, and sometimes I have to remind myself, okay, I need to show a little bit more of my good points first, and then ease them into my bad points. But I also want to be that person that's very upfront, because I want to show the person what they're getting before they buy, if so to speak, right? And I think the Ten of Cups in reverse sometimes is that relationships where the person really didn't show any of their bad side up front. They showed the pretty side. They put on the pretty face, wore all the makeup, wore the, and this isn't to knock anyone, but sometimes that happens, and it can be for either gender. The guy gets the girl, or, so sometimes it can be those marriages where you jumped into it pretty quick, and then, you thought your person was perfect, and then later on down the line, it's like, oh my God, they're driving me insane. We're not compatible. And that happiness that you thought you were going to get, that rainbow, and, was turned out to be something different, right? It wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. So a lot of times it can be depression or arguments. It can be aggravation. It can be that kind of feeling shortchanged because someone wasn't upfront with you. And again, I am not encouraging you to. I think, I'm learning in my Libra life, this Libra lifetime. It's a good mix. It's a good mix. Show someone, almost, lure someone in with your good traits, and then sprinkle in your bad traits. Don't 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 dive bomb them with your bad traits, which I do, which I'm learning. But definitely show them what's good about yourself, but do not conceal what's bad about you, right? I do also see this card, especially in the reverse, because the Ten in reverse is not as bad. It's almost like being the star in the reverse, or the sun in reverse. They're still happy cards. They're just a little. It's like you got a little bit of a veil of it could be a fight or something. But what I like to remember about this is that, if you did show your shortcomings to someone, you can turn the 10 back around. It's just, it just might be personality conflicts or clashes of interest. So, this can definitely be the fight card. You had a fight. Oh, I'm sorry, my train of thought came back. That's the other thing, is that, how sometimes when you fall in love, and this is actually a statistical thing, there's a chemistry to it. When you fall in love, it releases endorphins in your brain. And that you can read articles. There's articles everywhere in psychology about this. The honeymoon phase, right? The Ten of Cups in reverse can definitely be the honeymoon is over, right? The other thing is, if you jumped into some kind of major commitment before really giving it the time, they do say that 2 years is a good time. Year and a half to 2 years, if you're thinking about engagement, is actually an excellent time frame, because there's something, I always say there's two milestones in marriage, and we'll go with the middle deck, because this definitely, we'll go with the first deck, and I'm saving this for the next point. But they always say 2 years is a good waiting time, because there's two milestones that you want to go through before you commit to someone. And this is just my humble opinion from psychology articles and personal experience. But the two milestones that you really want to get through is, first, you want to see, three milestones. First, you really, really want to see their family and how they treat their family and how they treat waiters and other people. See your person in every single social situation to see if they treat people fairly. And you also want to make sure, if it's a woman, do they treat their father like crap? If it's a man, do they treat their mother like crap? Do they treat wait staff like horribly? That's a big milestone. The other thing is that you want to travel with your person. Have you ever heard of the phrase happy camper? If you do not go on at least, and it doesn't even have to be a major trip, but I would say at least 2 hours, drive 2 hours, do some kind of 2-hour trip. If they're driving you almighty insane by the end of 2 hours, that's a mile, that's honestly in astrology, to put the astrologer hat on, that's a little bit of a Jupiter thing. Usually when you're Jupiter, the Jupiter of one person's chart makes good, compatible kind of syncs to people, to your chart. usually means that you have similar spiritual interests, and you have certain similar intellectual interests. If you have a lot of clash between your Jupiter, that does make it where it's hard for you to, it's almost like the little things, like you disagree on where to go for lunch, you disagree on how, when to fill up the car with gas, you disagree. It becomes all these little disagreements that make it break down your compatibility. Now, the last thing is that in relationships, they talk about the first fight. Oh my God, how important is the first fight? It's very important. I don't think, in my humble opinion, and IMO, I don't think anybody should get engaged until you've had your first fight. And sometimes that comes pretty far along. If you are legitimately compatible, that's great. But usually it's usually more than a year in if you really are syncing, syncing up to somebody. But after about a year, there's going to be something that you fight about. Actually, in the movie The Lake House with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves, there's a great scene where he's like, they're writing letters to one another, and he's like, great, our first fight. You know what? The first fight is a good thing, because it shows you whether or not you both fight fair, whether or not you listen to one another, and how well, like you said, don't go to bed angry. Don't go to bed angry, right? How do you handle that energy? Because you're not going to always agree all the time. But when you see so sometimes this can be an indicator of that. Maybe you've had joyous bliss thus far, and now all of a sudden you had a trip where you drove each other batshit crazy, or you had your first fight, or you had the first, you went to bed angry, right? So it can be hurt feelings, it can be aggravation. Now, when I look at the middle deck in reverse, I definitely think that sometimes, and that's another thing, astrologer hat for a minute. The other thing about Jupiter, believe it or not, when your Jupiter makes squares to someone else's planets, because Jupiter and Venus are what we call benefit planets. They're the beneficial planets. They don't clash very easily, but they do still have friction between charts. And friction is not a bad thing, but definitely if your sun, your moon, or your Venus, and if it's your Venus, it's how you handle money. If your Venus clashes with someone's Jupiter, the way you spend money can cause problems. The other thing that I get is especially with this middle deck, the spiritual beliefs of your intended's family, or your in family. They might disagree. There might be conflicts in the family. And remember, we said in the upright, this is smoothing everything over. In the reverse, their family might be telling you what to do. Maybe they're trying to tell you how to raise your kid. Maybe they're trying to tell you, oh, you're squandering money. Or, they might have a hold on your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse. They could have and again, in friendship, it could be that your friend's family is really being hard on them. Also, just to throw it out there with the rainbow, sometimes this can be an exception, because the rainbow has come to represent two things, both bisexuality and it's also come to represent women and people who have what they call rainbow babies. They have babies on their own from IVF without a father. So sometimes, and we'll get into that in situations, but sometimes this can be a lack of acceptance, either with religious beliefs or the way that the family conducts themselves, that causes conflict in your relationship. And it isn't so much you and your person, or you and your family. It could be your family's parents, or someone coming in and giving their it's like a disrupted family life because of beliefs. And I would definitely look at Jupiters in either chart. But sometimes it can be an unsettled family routine. Maybe you're moving a lot. If you see this next to cards that represent addiction or divorce, maybe there's upheaval in family life because of, again, maybe children are being affected. Maybe there's just an unhappiness because of, things going on in life. And that's really affecting everyone involved. And again, if you're watching this at the time this post, if you see this Ten of Cups in the reverse next to the Five of Pentacles, it can be money related. It can be because of a loss of job. It can be a fear or ill health. Sometimes a family member is sick and everyone is upset about that, right? And that's not something that you just smooth over, you know? If you see this next to the death card, it can be a lack of happiness because there's been a loss. Now, the last deck is really interesting. A lot of times I take this as a man and a woman. When it's the lovebirds in reverse, a lot of times I just kind of see it as being one of those incompatible marriages where people sleep in separate bedrooms. Maybe you live separate lives, and it's just kind of like this behavior that's routine. Again, it's like routine, but you're not in love anymore, right? You either that or you just don't have that domestic bliss with your partner. I do see this, especially with the two lovebirds in reverse, with this deck in reverse. I do see it as those people who just aren't happy in their relationship anymore. They're not happy with their spouse. Every time they get around them, there's arguments. The other thing is I do get that kind of hardened energy where you just know it's almost like you've given up. You're married in by law only, right? You're married on paper. You're not married in your heart. And the other thing I kind of get, which is kind of sad, it's like you don't have. The other thing I kind of get is that it's those households that don't have that happy atmosphere. When you come over, everything feels really restricted, right? Like the other thing I kind of get is that maybe you go over to your friend's house and their family plays together, they play games together, they laugh. It doesn't feel heavy, and then you go home and your parents are fighting, they're about to get divorced, and it's just gloom and doom, and it's like, that's the kind of energy in reverse. That kind of marital conflict, or you just feel like, okay, I'm keeping the ring on because we have to be married for financial reasons, but I don't like you. We have no joy together. We sleep in separate bedrooms, right? Now, the other thing that it can be is sometimes it can be an empty nest thing. So it might not be such a bad thing, but it could just be that maybe all of the children have moved out, and now, again, with Temperance, if you see Temperance next to the Ten of Cups in reverse, you might just be learning a new way, if you've been a family for so long, and then all of a sudden you don't, a lot of older couples think, okay, this is kind of a new phase in our marriage, right? It's the new leg of, what do we do now? We raised these children together, we had this happy life together, what's next? So sometimes you can see this in just that kind of quiet sense where things aren't as bustling anymore. But when it comes to the reverse, when it comes to situation or advice, a lot of times it means that, something might come through to disrupt a family situation. Again, it might be news or something that impacts, the happiness of your family. Sometimes it can be the sign of a clash or quarrel. Sometimes it may be that, it could be sudden news of something coming in. Like, again, with the rainbow, it might be something as big as like you find out that your child is gay, or maybe the other thing I get is that maybe your child is deciding to marry someone that you don't think is best for them, and it's causing like conflicts, like you're no longer agreeing. Sometimes it can be a child leaving home. Someone up and says, well, I'm gonna become a music singer in LA, and you're like, oh my god, you're never gonna make it. And again, it's just kind of like that disruption in the house. Now, when you see it in the reverse representing people, sometimes it could be a troublemaker. It can be like maybe one child or one family member just really stirs up drama. It can be a parent or a uncle or a cousin, and you look at surrounding cards, you can kind of get an idea of their personality. Now it can be someone who's absent from the family, like maybe everything else is completely happy, but one person is just never there. They're just always leaving or just not participating. Sometimes it can be that your spouse or someone that you love just doesn't like your family dynamic. Definitely when it comes to situations, sometimes it can be like, oh, my family's holding a barbecue, and the one person's like, well, I don't want to go. I don't, I can't stand your Aunt Linda, blah, 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 or whatever, or I don't like being around your father. They drive me crazy, things like that. It can be a trip or a family event that nobody wants to go to, or that someone doesn't want to go to. Sometimes it can just be sometimes it can be a child, like maybe, maybe a child, as we come into the holidays, it's Easter Sunday and they're throwing a fit. So, in a daily context, it can mean that somebody is just not participating, or someone's creating discord in what normally would be a joyous family situation. So it can be kind of a party pooper vibe. Sometimes it could be a child who's leaving home, or a runaway child. It can be a real rebellious teenager if you see this in the reverse next to a knight, one of the knight cards, or even one of the pages. And then sometimes it can be a very lonely parent. Sometimes if you do see this in reverse next to like what would be seen as more of a widower card, maybe you have a parent who, maybe you have a grandparent who lost their spouse and is feeling really alone. So sometimes it can be an indicator of someone who needs a little bit of familial love. Or a friend who needs to feel. The other thing I get is that if someone is not feeling really accepted by their family, the 10 in reverse can be, I need a family. It's almost like they're turning to their friends for that kind of sense of community and that sense of love. But whether it's in the upright or the reverse, the 10 is a beautiful card. It's one that everybody always looks forward to, and it definitely means joy and contentment and all that is good, with that rainbow above. But all right, guys, so that concludes the how-to part. We're going to go straight into the reading. We have 3 beautiful decks here. Now, the first deck is always the Rider-Waite Smith, and my version of the deck is by AGM, which is A.G. Mueller Company, which is a very sharp deck. And with it, we have a beautiful sunstone. The second deck is the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. And we have a beautiful raw quartz point. And the last deck is the Line Strider Tarot by Cilio Thompson, and with it we have a beautiful blue fluorite. And to clarify, I'm going to be using an angel deck. I'm forgetting the exact name, but it's an angel deck by Doreen Virtue, and the name of it's in the description box. And I thought this was going to be really a good deck to use just because we're talking about blessings and like happiness. And this deck talks about like angel advice. So I just thought that this would be a good way to kind of clarify what these blessings are, or give advice about it. But all right, guys, so I'll go ahead and do a freeze frame. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. I'm going to go ahead and move up these other decks. And let's start with the Rider-Waite Smith. And again, it's such a happy card. How does the 10 of Cups manifest in your life? Okay, 4 of Wands, that kind of means marriage, or... Okay, future energy, please. Oh my gosh, you see this here. Wow, okay. All right, this is interesting, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your angel card. Make sure my microphone is on. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, getting comfortable here. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. What's your angel? Wow, this is interesting, guys. Okay, so in the past, we got Temperance, and this is really great. So this is the only we got a major arcana in the spread. In the past, you got Temperance. And what I love about this is it's an angel. So I definitely get the sense, like, in the past there was a real recalibration. There was like a balancing. And what's beautiful about this card is that you have mountains in the distance, and you have one person who has a foot on earth and a foot in water. And we see a lot of reference of like water and land here. So what I'm kind of getting is that I do think that in your past, I am kind of getting a vibe like maybe in the past you either didn't expect to find like that happiness. This combination kind of speaks to me of someone who maybe you had a lot of dating experience, or maybe you never thought that you would find that happiness, like that all encompassing happiness. And in the past, I just get the sense like it's almost like you had to balance your real world life with your emotional life. I do think that there was a lot of spiritual lessons with this, maybe with relationships as well. And what I'm kind of getting is that maybe in the past, one other thing I kind of get with this is that maybe um, this is a little bit of a sign that maybe some of your early experiences, and I try not to get to, like I'm not a psychologist, so I try not to, say, oh, well, you had a rough childhood. I don't mean to sound that way. But temperance really is about, emotion. Water is emotion, and earth is like practicality. So with the angel being there, kind of regulating the waters, I do think that there was probably a few experiences in your past that you really kind of had to come to terms with. The other thing that you really get is that in order to have like a happy adult life, sometimes you really do have to kind of, if you did have any tough experiences growing up, you have to remind yourself that just because you experienced that when you were young doesn't mean that you're going to have to go through that again in your adult life. There's some scripts that you can leave in the past, right? And that's what I'm kind of getting here. It's almost like the other thing I kind of get with this is it's almost like that permission to know that you deserve to be happy, right? Because, and believe me, I understand, sometimes we have those relationships, if maybe your parents didn't have the happiest marriage, then you kind of don't know what to look for in your adult life. Like, okay, what do I look for to have that happy home life that I deserve, right? But I do think that it came from experience. The other thing that I get is that there was probably I do get from this, that angels are really looking out for you. Like there really are some spiritual lessons in your past. But what I'm kind of seeing is that in the present energy, it's like again with those mountains in the background, you've come through. You've worked past the conflicts that you saw growing up, and what you're doing is that in the present energy, you've got the King of Swords underneath the Six of Swords. So, what I'm really getting from this is that I do get a lot of psychological thought here. It's almost like the King of Swords does. He's a very mental character, and you can be a woman in this energy, but it's almost like what I'm getting is that I do think that I think that you have known conflict in your past, and it's almost like you're committing yourself. You're committing yourself mentally. You're determined. You see these are both swords card. It's like you're mentally determined to move on to happier things, and that's your Ten of Cups, right? You see, three people in a boat here, right? So I do get the sense that it's almost the other thing with temperance is recalibration. It really is kind of reworking the way that you see things, the way that you perceive things. Um, and I think that the present, and this being present energy, is that you have in your head what you want, right? You have a dream of this Ten of Cups. You are determined to go after what will make you happy. And it's almost like it almost feels like an obstacle course to you, like in the past. And I'm not laughing at it. This is very clear energy. um, it's almost like in the past you really had to get yourself balanced, and I do think that you're very spiritual. It's almost like maybe you do pray to angels or pray to God to say, okay, can you help me? Because I it's almost like, please help me find the healthy thing for me. I'm tired of uh, what I'm getting is I'm tired of having to balance or having to um, you ever, you know, ever had that feeling like, gosh, I've just never been shown the right way, you've never been shown a healthy relationship. So now if someone walked up, you wouldn't even know what it looked like, right? And I feel like that's the kind of balancing. It's almost like the angels have been there with you as you try to figure out what's best for you. Like, what the other thing I kind of get is that you want this happiness, you want this joy, you just don't know how to get it. So I do almost get like the I'm getting the sense that you've known, the other thing I get is that you've just known a lot of conflict in your past, and you're done with that. You're done with that, I think, and that's a good start. And the other thing about the King of Swords is that he's the king of his suit. There's no higher than him in the sword suit. So what I'm kind of getting from this is that you're not going to let anything else rock your boat, right? It's almost like you're keeping a real strong head. You're not letting your emotions get the best of you. And you're gonna do whatever you got to do to be happy, to get that Ten of Cups, to get that rainbow, that happily ever after, right? And I do think that I think that you've had to balance a lot. The other thing is that I do get the sense that I do kind of get the sense like you might be a little bit more of an emotional person, but you've probably been you've been you've been mentally trained to rein that in, because I think that you either feel like your heart gets the best of you, or that your heart gets you into trouble, is what I'm kind of feeling. So that's the other thing about the Six of Swords, is that the Six of Swords is that real baseline energy. It's almost a little boring how it's the Six of Swords is neither high nor low, right? And Temperance is about kind of Temperance is about balance too. It's like getting yourself level again. But I do get the sense that you feel like if you keep a head over heart, you'll get that Ten of Cups. But I do get the feeling like you have to move away from conflicting situations. Maybe you have to feel like you feel like you have to move away from rough relationships as well. Um, I do feel like this is almost kind of like a healing time. The other thing I get is that maybe there's family dynamics here that you have to kind of keep balanced. Again, the Ten of Cups is like that smoothing over card. Um, but the King of Swords is also about, he is the guardian of marriage. Like, the other thing that we talked about when we had a tarot on the King of Swords is that um, he is the person that says, okay, we are married, I'm going to honor this marriage, right? So it can be that maybe in your past you did feel a little bit, resistant to marriage, or maybe your relationships felt a little bit up and down. So it's like you're committing to a very straight path. You're gonna stay in that boat, and you're gonna do what you got to do, and it's very head over heart. But the other thing that I get is that commitment, that mental discipline, is what's going to contribute to your happiness. And the other thing is, marriage is not easy, right? Marriage isn't easy. It is almost like that compromise that you have to make. It is doing your due diligence, even if it doesn't feel, because the one thing about the Six of Swords, it is a little bit of a boring energy. It's a little bit of a blah energy. You do feel a little bit numb. But the cool thing about it is that you're neither in the depths of despair, nor are you at the heights of ecstasy. You're right in the middle. And that's a healthy place to be, especially if you're healing. The other thing is that it does keep you on the level. It keeps you balanced. You're not doing anything impulsive, but then you're not despairing either. So sometimes that is the healthy way to approach it. But the other way I see it is, if you're a woman watching this is the commitment of your spouse or your boyfriend. They're saying, okay, this person is going to adhere to it, and you're going to move on to calmer times together, which is going to make everyone happy. It's going to be the steps that you take to make sure that this happiness takes place. But if this is your energy and you can be a woman in this energy, it just means that you're really going to keep a tight rein on your heart. You're not going to let anything go up and down and up and down. You're going to balance it out. You're going to heal. And, that's going to bring you that contentment, the other thing I get is that, in a marital life, it is a lot of compromise, right? It's a lot of compromise. But one other thing that I get from this is that one of the biggest things, and honestly, I didn't say it in the intro, but one of the biggest things that contributes to a good marriage is mutual respect. Mutual respect, right? You listen to the other person, and the King of Swords, he's like an octave of justice, right? He can be a Libra man, he can be an Aquarius or a Gemini man. It's like, you listen. The other thing is that you make sure that everybody is okay. It isn't just you, right? It isn't just you. And sometimes that is kind of putting your feelings on a shelf, but you're not trying to completely ignore your feelings, but in order to make sure everybody is brought to a healthier place, right? Now, one other thing that I do see with this spread is this could possibly been a little bit of a rocky relationship. Maybe you are on the brink of separation or possibly divorce, and you're deciding to adhere to your vows or stay together. And it's like all of you are moving to a happier place together, right? Now, the future of this energy is really, really interesting. We've got the Nine of Cups and we've got the Seven of Wands. So I do get the sense that, this is interesting, guys. I'm definitely getting kind of like this fighting energy. It just seems like something keeps trying to, um, as a Libra person, I think of the scales. It's almost like something keeps trying to come in and step on one of your scales. It seems like something, and it could be family, but it just seems like something keeps coming at you. You see all these wands coming up, and you having to defend this, right? It's almost like it's almost like you have to defend your happiness. Now, one other thing that I kind of read with this, there's kind of, and I try not to give, it's just a general reading, so there's a lot of different ways that it can be interpreted because it's general, but one way that I can kind of read this is maybe you decided to choose someone that makes you happy, and this person isn't what everybody expected you to choose, but you laid it down. You said, nope, this is my choice. No one's going to question me. And it's like you put you and your person in the boat, and you're like, nope, we're going, you're defending your choice. And that's what I'm getting here. It's like you defended your choice. And you feel like the man, but it's almost like you have to, again, I don't think, I'm getting kind of a sense like other people might not understand what brings you happiness. So this could be a person. You might have said, okay, no, I decided to marry someone, and everyone's like, why did you choose that person? And it's like you have to defend that, but you still feel like you feel like the man, like you feel like you got it's like you had to defend your wish. You have to defend what it was that you chose. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that maybe this might be that, and again, this being the happiness money can't buy. It could also be that maybe you made a decision to take like a job that wasn't, like maybe you had a job that was very traditional, that kind of, paid the bills, but then you said, well, what would make me happy is if I could do this other creative thing. And it was a little bit of a risk, but your family supported you, and it is almost like you have to continue to support that dream, but you have the support of your family. And again, this is a simple house, this is a simple scene, and what I'm kind of getting from this is that your family supports your decision to do what you want to do, but it's hard work, and it does. The other thing is that I'm sure I'm getting like a strong sense of judgment, like people are like looking at you like, why did you do that? That seems stupid, but it makes you happy, and that's all that matters. And it's that happiness that money can't buy. It gives you the joy in your life. You might not be making millions, but you're defending, and as you go forward, you're defending your happiness, right? And then this is interesting. You got creative projects. So your soul longs to express itself in creative ways. We're guiding you to infuse artistry and creativity into your life. Creative expression makes you feel alive and excited and regulates passion towards your life. And this is interesting, guys, because we've got the Six of Swords is a very not passionate card. It's very, just keep everything healing, keep everything, just keep rowing, right? Just keep swimming. And then here, this is a 7, and it's Wands is active, it's energy, but it makes you feel impassioned, right? It's you defending yourself, but I do get the sense, yeah, there might be a little bit of judgment here, but it's almost like you're either doing what you want to do, and it's making you happy, and your family is, you because you're happy, your family is happy. But the other thing that I kind of get with this is that if it's not necessarily a creative project, I do get the sense this might be a person. And I do get the sense, like, again, it's almost like maybe you in your past, either your family or something was telling you have to do things this way. Maybe I also kind of get in your own mind, you thought, okay, this is how things have always been done, and this is how I have to do it moving forward, but it wasn't making you happy. So you had a recalibration, you got yourself balanced. And I do think that this is like, I also get the feeling with angels being here, it's like the angels were guiding you too. Like your higher power was like, you are put on this earth to be happy, and your happiness is not, the definition of happiness is not what other people tell you, is not for other people to discern. Your definition of happiness is yours. So you might have chosen someone. And again, this is the King of Swords. When he lays down a verdict, it's done. And I do get the sense that it's almost like, again, you've made a decision to go towards your happiness. And I think as you go forward, you have to defend that decision. But again, it reignites passion in your life. I think before you were not happy, or you were living by someone else's rules, and you went ahead and said, no, I'm going to make a decision for myself because I'm an adult. But I do think that you balanced out a lot of previous kind of emotional stuff. And you made a very rational decision. But I think as you go forward, I think other people will still start to question your decision. Well, why did you marry that person? Or why did you go out? And it doesn't matter. It makes you happy. It brings you the happiness. And I do, you feel like the man, right? It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You feel like the man. You feel like the winner. This is wish fulfillment. These two cards, we just had a tarot last week on this. These two cards are like, boom. And you're going to defend your wish. You're going to defend your wish because it reignites passion in your life. The other thing I get is that you're kind of making this decision presently. After a lot of thought. I think you really, the other thing I get is that, the King of Swords is very balanced. It's Libra energy, or just that concept, you balanced out things in your life, and you know what you want. You know what you want, and you're going to go for it. Wow, that's really amazing, guys. That was powerful. But that's really great. I am almost getting like a relationship vibe from that. All right, so deck number 2, Tarot of the Divine. How does the Ten of Cups manifest in your life? I do get kind of a family and, well, all three are family related, but, there's a little bit of a marriage and baby kind of vibe here. All right, so past the center. Oh, okay. Ah, Page of Wands, King of Pentacles, King of Coins. Present energy. Wow, they're just coming out. Okay, future energy. Oh my gosh, you see this, right? Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, can we please? Gee, all right, whoa. Okay, just for the record, this was the same card that was trying to pop out before. So I'm going to take it. Whoa. Oh my gosh, guys. I mean, this is a great deck that they don't fly out like that on Norm. Wow. Whoa. All right. And release and surrender was really kind of coming across this side. You know what, guys? I am. Wow. Wow. This is interesting. Okay, these are all fairy tales, but I am getting a vibe. Wow, this is pretty wild. I'm getting kind of a vibe here that in the past, we've got the King of Coins and we've got the Page of Wands. So this definitely kind of seems like a father and a child. So you could either be dealing with the father of your child. The other thing I get is that this person either has the money, you know, like they're a very financially reliable person. They're the provider. And then, so if you're a woman watching this, this could be your husband or the father of your child. You might have like a really fiery child, like it could be a fire sign, like Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, and they might still be pretty young because again, what I'm really getting, the story I get with this is you see the mer people, and then you see, you know, the husband, wife, and child here. And you can see the woman just by her coloring, she's the one who's the mermaid, right? It kind of looks like Little Mermaid, right? When she goes on land and meets her prince. But what I am definitely getting here is that I think in the past, maybe you don't necessarily have to be married, but maybe you had a child. Either that, or if this is your energy, you might be dealing with someone who's a little bit of a childish energy, and then their parent or their father is the real responsible one. Like there might be kind of a childish energy where the father, because what I'm kind of getting from this is you know that in the story of the Little Mermaid, King Trident was the one who bailed everyone out, right? He's the one who fixed everything. So what I'm kind of getting is, but in the story you see more water, and here you see more earth, which is that real grounded energy. Um, but one thing about Ariel is she was, in the regular Disney sense, she had red hair and she was really impulsive. She followed, which kind of is a Page of Wands energy. So I kind of see this a few ways. If you are a woman watching this, it's quite possible that you did either have a baby or got married because of a child, and your spouse or your husband was like the provider. They're the reliable one. They're the real stable one. Either that, or this could be like a father figure and someone who's a little bit more of a childlike kind of innocent energy. The last way that I kind of see this is that maybe if you're a child, this could be your father or the person who supports you financially, like the one who's always there for you. Because what I'm kind of getting with this is that this is somebody who goes, just kind of runs in any direction, and then the turtle is the one who's always there to catch you when you fall. Like if you run into a problem or do a mistake, they bail you out. So sometimes that energy can be that person who dabbles in everything. Like maybe you're at college and it's expensive and your father is paying for you to go to college, but then you change your major 4 times and then you're like, well, I want to quit. And in your last semester, this person is always there for you. Now, but with this scenario, I do almost get like a family dynamic. I get a family dynamic. And I definitely get that there's one patriarch, there's like one father figure who really either has the money or takes care of everything, like, takes care of either the baby or the child, or takes care of you when you run off and do your thing. Now, the current energy is really amazing, is that this is a really cool story because you see the firebird, he's flying as fast as he can to bring fire to the earth, and it's like snowing. And he's moving as quickly as he can. He's moving as quickly as he can. If this is your energy, you might be trying to earn money for a child. Like you might really trying to, again, the turtle moves so slowly And because the one thing about this story with the bird is like, it's like against, he's going against a time constraint. Like he's trying to bring fire to the frozen earth as fast as he can. So, you know, maybe if you are like expecting a baby and you're trying to earn money as quickly as possible to be that provider, and you can be a man or a woman in that energy. And it's like, again, I'm getting like a time constraint, like and you see the colors are similar, you know. It's like it's almost like you're working against the clock to try to bring that warmth, you know. Again, what I'm almost getting is that you're trying to bring like a warm hearth for the arrival of this person. And but what I am also kind of getting is that I do see that there's a little bit of a separation in families. So maybe you're trying to prove yourself to be as reliable as your other person's family. Like, I know this. I'm trying to make sense of this. I'm sorry if this is, if you do have a child with someone, it's almost like you're trying to provide as much as they do for the new baby. Either that, or there is something like you want to go full speed ahead towards your happiness. But uh, I am almost getting a sense like there's a lot of pentacles here, so this could be a work context as well. It's possible that maybe you went, you know, gung ho into some kind of project for, you know, for someone who was investing in you. And it is almost like you're either behind or you're trying to catch up. You're trying to put the energy, because these are wands. We've got wands. It's like you're really you're working towards. The other thing I get is that you're expecting that happiness, right? Because there's a rainbow in his wings, there's a rainbow here in the sky. It's like you're working hard. The other thing I kind of get is I do get the sense like someone is watching you, you know, like they're watching what kind of job you're going to do, right? And their opinion matters because they're investing in you. But if this is for a child, you could be trying to, you know, you're trying to gather funds quickly. Again, you're trying to make the earth warm for the arrival of this happiness. Um, the other thing I get is that if this is a work project, maybe this is a project that you've been looking forward to coming to culmination. Like you're like, okay, when this project gets complete, I'm gonna be really happy. So you're full speed ahead. The other thing I get is with the Eight of Wands, like all of the wands are in tandem, so it's like all systems go. Um, so this could be a work thing. This could be a work thing. The other thing that I kind of get is that if this is a work thing, it's almost like you're getting because a child can be a merger between two companies, right? You know, two different entities, right? Two different, and here it shows like families, but you know, it can definitely be that kind of energy. Now, the future, and there are no bad cards in tarot here, guys. There's no bad cards in tarot. But what I'm kind of getting here is, wow, we've got so much. Um, in the future, you got the Seven of Swords and you got the Five of Swords. Um, so what I am really getting here, guys, is the Seven of Swords is about evasion, right? And you see someone kind of sneaking away, and you see this shadow kind of cackling over them. And then the Five of Swords is about conquest. This is Isis. The story. This is an Egyptian story where Isis's husband is killed by his brother, and he takes the throne. Right? You see kind of a bloody blade there. And this isn't bad energy. I know sounds so crazy, but I because this is family related. Um, I am seeing a little bit. What I'm getting from this, guys, is I am getting some kind of merger that is more than you anticipated. Um, and that merger can be the mergers of two families. It could be that, again, you know, maybe you found that you were expecting with someone, and you really, the current energy is that all things are going, you're struggling to do what you got to do, to make this a happy merger, to keep everyone happy. But I will say that moving forward, it does kind of feel like someone is going to be made to feel like a loser and one person meant to feel like a winner. And I do get the sense like you're avoiding negative energy, right? The other thing that I kind of get is that, if this is involving a child, it's one of those things where because the other thing that I get from this is that Pentacles is very steady, practical energy. It's very mature energy, and Wands is a conflicting element, and it's Page energy. So what I'm kind of getting is that maybe again with the two different families, maybe you guys come together over the baby, but in every other respect you are completely different. And I do get the sense that it's almost like as you go forward, you want to avoid the negative, energy of that other side. It's like either like they're judging you, or what I'm kind of getting is that they really want to exert control. So I am kind of getting the sense like you're doing your best to provide for your family. If this is a work contest, you're doing your best to do the right type of job. Like you're keeping everything on track to get this Ten of Cups, to keep everyone happy, to make it a joyous, merger of two separate, entities, or two separate families. But as you go forward, I really do get the sense that there's going to be kind of power plays here. The other thing that I get is that I get some people are going to be real dominant and trying to tell you what to do. Maybe they're trying to tell you how to raise the child. Maybe they're trying to tell you how to, I do kind of get a strong, if this is a family thing, I do kind of get this not getting along with your your in-laws kind of feeling. And it's almost like in order for you to do what you want to do, because that's the fox, right? That's the wolf. He does what's best for him. It's almost like you have to evade or sneak around, and that your family is still, you know, still in charge, right? They're still debunking you or still doing things to tell you what to do. Now, quite honestly, this could be family. This could be family. It could be somebody, a patriarchal person in charge. Maybe they've lent you money or they've invested money in you. And, but what I'm kind of getting is that it's almost like you're trying to get out of that situation, but you keep getting pulled back into it. And, and it's almost like you're trying to get away from it. You want to get away from it because it's painful. There's a lot of win-lose situation here. Now, I don't want you to despair. This is not a bad reading. I definitely pulled extra cards, and this card came out the most. And if you want to watch the How to Tarot, but this flipped out twice, but you've got Ten of Swords. And what you see is you see fire and water here, guys. I think, and underneath it, you got the King of Cups. I think emotionally, like, this situation has made you really emotionally mature, but you are kind of torn. You're kind of torn. And what I see here is I see the Eight of Coins. And actually, this is the one card, this deck, the Eight of Coins. Normally, the Eight of Coins is perfecting a craft. But what this is this is a girl who is forced. Her family is cursed, like her brothers are turned into birds, and she has to undo the curse by creating she has to weave, and you see her hands are just red, like she's got to work really hard to try to release her family. Wow, guys, what I am really getting, this is powerful. I feel like, you know what? This could be like a family dynamic that you need to get out of, and it's been really hard. Maybe someone has like some kind of investment, and what you're doing is I think you are going full speed ahead. Maybe you're working really hard, you're doing something to try to get that happily ever after, but it's almost like you have to be evasive, and you keep getting drawn back into win-lose situations. And what it's done is it's really taught you emotionally Like you've become the King of Cups. The other thing is that with this being a dragon and that being the pearl of wisdom, dragons, when I see dragons, I always think of awaken inner force. Like you have the ability to break free. You have the ability to break free, and you have the ability to go after that Ten of Cups. But you're just in a little bit, you're in limbo right now. Wow, guys, you know what this might be is that someone might be in control of your financial stability. And it's almost like you're killing yourself working, because these are two eights, guys. It's like you're killing yourself. You're trying to push ahead. And again, that bird's wings, the feathers are flying. He's trying so hard to bring, fire back to the frozen earth. You're working, until your fingers bleed to try to solve this. But I do think I'm getting a little bit of a trapped energy. So I am kind of reading one of two things. Either you have a baby with someone, and the financial stability of your family is reliant on either in-laws, or there's some kind of reliance on a family dynamic, possibly a boss, and it's just it is making you miserable. It's making you feel like you can't. I'm getting a strong sense because there's two kings here. It's almost like you're not being allowed to run things that you want to, and it's preventing you from achieving that 10 of cups. Like you're doing the work and you're doing your best to try to get that 10. The other thing is the 8 is 2 away from the 10. But it's almost like you keep you what I'm getting is two steps forward, 3 steps back. That's what I'm hearing. And it's making you feel trapped. You're learning a lot from it. I think you're gaining an emotional maturity. It's quite possible that maybe you got entangled in this from some kind of impulsive energy. Maybe you went into this a little immature, but you learned really quickly. But the problem is that you can't sneak away from this energy. You keep getting whatever agreement that you got into, whether it be with in-laws or with a work situation. You're trying to do the work to get out of it. Maybe you're trying to pay off debts, or maybe you're trying to support yourself or support your own family. But it's almost like you can't get away. Like again, I see that villain kind of, you want to do your own thing, and that person is like a shadow over you, and they keep defeating you, right? It's like you can't win. But where you are is that I think this is you are still gonna, moving forward, you're gonna keep working. You're gonna keep working. You are at a stalemate, right? Your heart wants you to do one thing, but your head is telling you to do another. But what I am getting from this is that you are going to stay emotionally committed to what you want. You're going to stay emotionally, and it looks like you have your eye on the prize. Doesn't he look like he's about to strike? It's like, I want my 10 of cups. I want my 10 of cups. And I think you will get it. It feels very harrowing for you right now. You feel stuck. You feel stuck, like you're just trapped working. It's teaching you a lot emotionally. But you will invoke your emotional strength. This is inner strength. Anytime I see a dragon, it's inner strength. It's will. And this is the king. And we're going to have a tarot on the king very soon. But your angel guidance is release and surrender. We shower you with blessings of our radiant love. Open your arms and release the challenges that you've held tightly gripped within your hands. Open your hands, arms, and heart to love and assistance. To love and assistance. This is a tough one, guys. I mean, maybe there is some kind of assistance. Maybe you're trying to go it alone. But what I kind of get is that I feel like maybe you are stuck in some kind of situation. You're stuck in some kind of situation. And I'm getting a strong sense, especially with two kings. I think you just want to live your life the way you want to live your life, and you don't want anybody up in your business. But I am getting kind of like, I'm getting what's the word I'm looking for? Interference. I'm getting interference. And the other thing that I kind of get is that, especially with this card, you know, one brother conquered another brother because he thought he could rule better, right? So this could be family interference. I am getting a strong sense of family interference, and it is almost like you know what you want to do, but it's like you have someone always overshadowing you. So you stay in a state of inaction. You don't take any action, like it's a stalemate. But underneath, the other thing I get is while you've been in this each one of these win lose situations has taught you to you are very your emotions are very honed. And wow, look at the expression on that dragon's face. It's like when you are done, I get the sense when you are done with your work, you're ready to go get your 10. Nothing's gonna stop you. But I do think that you have some more work to do. I think you're gonna do the work that you need to do. But I do think that I do not think the other thing that I kind of get is that I think that there's some blessings from the universe in this situation, because anytime you do any type of work, whether it's emotional work or physical work, that comes back to you. That comes back to you. So if you feel like this Five of Swords energy, if you just feel like people are always telling you what to do, or you feel like it's win-lose situation, I think you need to release and surrender. Either that, or you just need to send out a prayer and say, okay, please give me some blessings right now. Please give me some blessings. And I think they will come to you on angel's wings. They really will. I know that sounds really hokey, but I do see that. I just get with the 2/8. I think you've been working hard. The other thing is I feel like I keep hearing working against the clock. Working against the clock. Like you either want to make money real quick, or you want to. But the other thing is that the King of Cups is very emotionally faithful to someone. You know? The only other way I can read this, guys, is that maybe there's someone that you really want to be with emotionally, but you agreed to something. There's other business, and it's like financial business or work business that you need to handle first, and it's making you feel really trapped. It's making you feel really stuck, but you're still very emotionally faithful. But I get the sense that you have to complete the cycle, like you have to break the curse first. But I do get the sense that the universe is asking you to release, to let go. Um, Sometimes it's... The other thing is with the Five of Swords, Isis did surrender to the conquest, and then she later came back and became the Queen of Egypt. She took her kingdom back. So I think you will take your kingdom back. I think you will break the curse. But you may need to also, it may be asking you to kind of pray to your higher power, or ask for guidance if you really do feel trapped, or if you feel like you're stuck in these win-lose situations, because that's a negative energy, and you don't want to stay in that energy for a prolonged period of time. But wow, guys, oh my gosh, that was a powerful read. That was really... All right, guys, so last but not least, we have the Line Strider Tarot by Cilio Thompson. And let's go ahead and see. I really do love this card. It's so cute. It's lovebirds. Ooh. Okay. Oh, wow. We got the Eight of Pentacles again. That one fell on the floor, so we're going to keep it. Okay. Current energy. Ooh. Sorry. Okay. Eight of Pentacles. Can you clarify the Eight of Pentacles, please? Oh my gosh. Whoa, you saw that, right? Wow. That flew and spin. That flew and spun. All right, current energy, please. I'm being guided to take all three. Temperance was kind of hiding behind the Three of Cups, so we'll read it that way. And then future energy, please. Future energy. Justice. All right, let's go ahead and get your angel card. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, that's really, this is good energy, guys. Wow. Wow. Okay. I am getting a very clear story here. All right. So in the past, we got the Eight of Pentacles, and underneath it, that's the card that flew out. You got the Six of Cups. So way I see that is that there, and with this, and I'm seeing pairs. I'm seeing couples here, right? I'm seeing couple here, and I see in your past that there was someone in your past that you felt really connected to. It felt like your lovebird, right? There's a lot of birds that mate for life, like doves. I feel like in the past you met somebody that felt like your lobster, right? Felt like your counterpart, and and you see how that moment when you meet someone and you can tell, okay. The other thing I love about this card is, and when we had a tarot, this was one of the cards that I chose, was it's two lemurs, right, which is a rare breed of kind of like a mongoose, like a muskrat. And why am I hearing muskrat love? Sorry guys, it's such a light rock crazy song. But um, it's almost like when you meet this person, they feel like your other half, right? They feel so familiar. And what I'm seeing here is with the Eight of Pentacles, you put a lot of stock into this person. Like, you worked at this connection, right? You really worked at this connection. And the other thing I get is that you had a lot of fond memories about this person. Like, you had good memories. And it's almost like a relationship that you really put a lot of effort into. The other thing that I get is that if this is a person, like a relationship, because it's the two birds, it's quite possible this could be someone that you knew from the time that you were really young. Maybe you were high school sweethearts, or the other thing I get is that maybe you just felt like you were kids. Like when you get around each other, you feel like you feel playful and you have fun with this person, right? They feel like your partner. Now, what I'm seeing in current energy, and this could be your energy or it can be the other person's. Um, what I'm kind of getting is I am almost getting that this is your other person's energy. We have the Three of Cups, and then we have Temperance, and we have the Five of Cups. So we have and look at this, guys. We got the 3, 5, and 6, and the 4. Holy Toledo. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. And this is an incredibly shuffled deck. And this flew out. I do get the sense that you had a strong connection with someone. You put a lot of effort into it. And you expected the Ten of Cups. Like, you really thought you were going to be together with this person. You so saw the future. I'm hearing birds of a feather flock together. This looked like your lobster, your other half, and you put energy into it. Like, you worked towards it, right? You really put a lot of effort. The other thing that I get is that I almost get the sense like you started to build yourself up to become the perfect partner. Like, you imagined yourself. The one other thing that I kind of get is that maybe financially, you even, you know, sometimes when I see the Eight of Cups in this context, maybe you decided to go to college at the same school or nearby, like, or you took up a job to start saving up money. You put energy into this connection, to be what this person needed you to be, and you really expected to be with them. Now, the present energy that I'm seeing is that the Three of Cups is really that partying card, right? It's like hanging out with your friends, and depending on surrounding cards, it can be a third party situation. So what I kind of see is that, the Three of Cups is like the three eggs there. So what I'm kind of seeing here is that if this is your energy, maybe you had a strong connection with someone and you really felt like it was going somewhere, but then all of a sudden you had you said, oh, okay, never mind, I still want to be single, you know, and you went, because when I see three cards like this, I think of the root, the stem, and the bloom. So the bloom is the expression of the energy, and how you got to that expression is the root and the stem, right? Almost like a flower. So the root of it is the Three of Cups, which meant I don't, and with the Six of Cups being really kind of young energy, maybe one of you felt like you were too young. You weren't ready to settle down, right? The other thing that you get is like with the Eight of Pentacles, it's like maybe this person, one other way I read that is that when you feel, you know how when you get in that relationship where you're just so comfortable with someone, and then you start doing well at your job, and instead of you thinking, okay, I want to get a promotion at my job so I get married and buy a house, you started thinking, okay, let me get a promotion at my job because I want a promotion. I want to make more money. I really get the sense that one or the other, maybe both of you, was a little too young. And one of you, I really get like it might be your energy, decided, okay, I don't want to settle down. Yeah, I get along with this person, but I'm doing well at work. I'm making a lot of money. I'm perfecting this. I don't need the, I want to go out and party. The other thing is that I do kind of get that maybe your friends are kind of, either you or your person's friends kind of had an influence on it. It is very, very proven that when, especially when you're on the younger side, if all of your, like if you're dating a guy and all of his friends are single, they will really drag them into a single lifestyle because it's a clan mentality, right? And it's not a bad thing. Their friends, oh, and it can be your friends too. Maybe you broke up with a guy, and because your friends, wanted a wingman, wanted a wing woman, right? And and again, you thought, okay, um, I'm not ready to settle down. Yeah, we have good compatibility. It could just be plain old, I want to still party. I want to be a free agent. I want to go ahead and date around. I don't want to be exclusive with anyone, even though you had really great camaraderie. But I am almost getting a sense like you were going places in your life. Maybe you were starting to get promotions at work. The other thing I get is that maybe you were starting to get attention for the things that you do, and you just kind of said, yeah, I get along with this person, but there's other fish in the sea, and you kind of went your separate ways. I do think that there was kind of partying involved, hanging out with friends, or keeping things casual. Because you also see different animals here, right? You see two lemurs here, and then you see a bunch of different animals there. Um, and what happened was your person did not wait around, or if this is your energy, you didn't wait around, right? You didn't wait around. You didn't, you worked for yourself, not for the two people together. And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of pink in these two cards. And I think you kind of came to a realization that you don't, this party lifestyle isn't giving you what you need. The temperance is about recalibration. It's about balance. It's like it is a little bit about realization. The other thing that I get is because an angel is in this card, and that it actually came out in the first deck too. We might have cross watchers, but the um, the angel really is about your higher guidance. It's about your spiritual guidance. It's like your spiritual mission. So maybe this was something that you were meant to learn, but I do think that you kind of missed out on love. You might have had a really good connection, and because you were either not ready or you were too young, you let the connection go to pursue kind of a little bit more casual. Or the other thing I kind of get is that maybe you got a little spooked. That's another thing that happens a lot. Sometimes when you're younger, you don't want to be saddled down with commitments or anything like that. Um, but it almost took like a higher realization. And I think you went out partying. And what I'm kind of getting from this is that you did not find the same connection. Look at how these lemurs are looking at one another. and then look at how all the animals are just kind of facing opposite directions, you know? Maybe you had several of those, maybe you had several nights of like Netflix and chill with your guy or your girl, and it was just, you were so happy, and then you traded that up for just, you know, sitting around the bar with all of your guy friends, you know, nursing beers, and the universe is almost like showing you like, okay, is that really what you want? And I think you did I think you did a 180. I think you said, okay, you went and you tried that lifestyle and you just realized that it was, I get a strong sense that the somebody realized, and this could be your person's energy or this could be your energy. Someone realized that what they gave up was their 10 of cups. They gave up their 10 of cups, and look at this, 5 of cups. You know, this you have the 3 of cups on one side and you got the two eggs on the other. You went ahead and you went for the casual life and you gave up the happy connection. And I think the universe is kind of bringing your attention to it, because the 5 of cups, we had a tarot on it. It's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, it's the looking at what you did wrong, and the universe is trying to balance this. The other thing I get is that I think you want another chance with your person. I think you want your person back. The other thing I get is with the stocking cap. I'm not a medium, guys, so I don't channel, but I do see, you know, I'm a very visual person, and with the stocking cap, I just see that I get the sense that you had a bedtime ritual with your person. Either that, or again, I'm getting kind of like Netflix and chill. Maybe you had like, you used to cuddle with your person. You used to cuddle with your person, and I'm getting like a whole lot of like cold, lonely nights. Like you want that back again. You want that back. Um, I'm hearing there's a card in one of my love decks. If you watched my love deck collection, that says, "I want to feel that way again." That's what I'm hearing. I want to feel that way again. But I do think that person, that if this is your person's energy, or if this is your energy, I do think that you probably got a little spooked. You just didn't, you know, because the other thing is that, the other thing I get, you know, with the 10 of Cups, we talked about this in the intro, is that it's the money, it's the happiness money can't buy. And it wasn't like you hadn't, it wasn't, the other thing that I kind of get is that maybe someone kind of broke off a heartfelt connection in order to pursue money, but then the pursuit of money just kind of made for those really kind of, you know, those kind of soulless parties where, yeah, you know, the champagne is flowing and, you know, everyone is well off, and there's a lot of titles and affluence flying around, but that's not going to tuck you in at night is what I'm kind of getting. And I'm not laughing at it. It's just these lovebirds, it's almost like they're ready to kiss each other goodnight and cuddle up and go to bed. And and this is also a bird, and the other thing is that this is an owl, so it's wisdom. You learned that, you know, you gave up the very thing that would have brought you that happiness. But the other thing I get is that I get the sense, especially with Temperance, is that you're trying to make it right. You're trying to make it right. But I do think that you're thinking back to that, or either that, or it's quite possible that you might be reflecting on past relationships and wondering what it is that would really make you happy, right? Um, but I do get a strong sense that, the other thing I get is with this present energy is that you might be out and dating and trying to find that happiness, but you're looking back at previous relationships, like these new, anything that you're dating now does not compare to what you had, and again, I just think it's a divine realization. I think you are learning, because again, with the owl, that's a lot of wisdom. But I do think that you're kind of pining. This is definitely pining over something from the past. Something that, the other thing is, it is a little bit of an idolization, like thinking that this relationship that evaded you would have been that, you know, that perfect happiness. Now the future does look really bright. This looks bright, and yet we've got another major arcana, and what's really beautiful about this, guys, is that Temperance is an angel, and you see that they're one hand is lower than the other, so they're still balancing. In the future, you got Justice, and the scales are perfectly balanced. I think, and then the root of this is the Four of Cups, and to the parallel you got the Fool, which is a third major. You got major. If this is your energy right now, and that's the other thing, is that these are 3 cups, and then the one is the ace that's coming at you. You are contemplating right now. You are withdrawn. It's almost like you've been through a lot. It's quite possible that the grass wasn't greener. Maybe you gave up something that was a little bit more stable to go out and date, and these new relationships just ended. Maybe they fizzled. Maybe you might have had a few extra connections, but it was not what you had in the past, and it wasn't giving you what you wanted, but it taught you. Again, it taught you. And what it is I think right now you see this person is almost kind of meditating, right? Meditating. The other thing is that one cup looks like it's like a dream, right? It's like the ace that's a dream. So I get the sense that if this is your person, they are trying to figure out a way to make it right. Someone is trying to figure out a way to bring justice to this situation and start again. Start again. If this is your energy, you're withdrawing, and actually you probably feel a little bit numb, because I am getting a strong sense that there was some playing around here. There was some playing around here, and again, Temperance is recalibration, and Justice is bringing justice to the situation. It's weighing everything in the cold light of logic. So what I am kind of getting here is that as you move forward, if this is your energy, you're trying to figure out a way to approach your lobster and make things right again. It's just you got some splaining to do. The other thing is that I think there's going to be a really lack of trust here. There's going to be a lack of trust. The other thing I get is that I think you've been feeling really numb. I think some of these more casual relationships have really kind of, that's the one thing about wisdom. Sometimes it kind of knocks you over the head. It's not, it's a little hard earned. And the other thing I kind of get is that you quite possibly might be taking a time out, like you're not engaging in any relationships because you want to look at the situation very, very clearly. It's almost like you're judging yourself. But you're going through this in order to get a very clear mind, so you can make the right choice, so you can make everything balanced again, so you can make everything right again. And Libra is about partnership. And the 6 is 3 and 3, right? All of these other, the 6 is 3 and 3, the 10 is 5 and 5. It's everything else is balanced here except for like the 3 and the 5 of the current energy. And that's Temperance, right? You've got more in this hand, 5 in this hand, and 3 over here. And so things are not balanced currently. And in the future, you want it to be balanced. You want it to be fair. If you have to make amends to someone. But I do get the sense, as you move forward, I still think that, right now you're in a pining state. I think that you're dreaming of this 10 of Cups. You're trying to decide how to get to your 10 of Cups. But I do think that it's almost like moving forward, you're going to need to take a time out. It's like you're going to need a little bit of time to get yourself together. The other thing is that going through a judgment moment, just like going through a tower moment, it's not easy. I think that you're afraid of being judged. The other thing is that in order for you to bring justice to someone else, you're going to have to really make things right. And that's going to take some strength, and it's going to take a shit ton of honesty, just to be real. But you want a new start. The other thing is that this Fool is actually carrying flowers. The other thing I kind of get is that I think you almost have to be ready to be to kind of be the Fool, which is really tough energy, because the Fool does not care about how he looks. He goes, you see, he's innocent. He goes full speed ahead without any burdens on his mind. And you can see this person has burdens on their mind, so it's almost like you have to get yourself straight, get yourself clear. The other thing that I get is that you might have to, either your person or you is going to have to tell the other lemur, you're going to have to go up to them and tell them what a fool you were, that that you made the wrong choice, and now that you want to make the right choice, you want to make amends and start on a good foot again. Now, this is really interesting, guys, is that the card you got is Steady Progress. We acknowledge you for the progress you've made in remembering love in your daily activities. We can clearly see the contribution you're making to the world through your thoughts, feelings, and actions of love. Wow, guys. So, I think that you learned a lot of lessons from this. I think this was definitely a life path kind of thing. Now, if this really is a lost love, like if you cannot get this person back. Now, the thing with the Five of Cups is that there are 2 cups remaining, and there's the 6 is 2 people here. So I kind of read it one of 2 ways. You could either be trying to get the person back, but you do have some amends to make. You're going to have to be fair to them. Or they might be judging you because of some of the actions that you took. But the other way that I kind of read it is that maybe this is done and over with, and you've learned a lot from your dating experience. You do still want that happiness. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stand accountable for, everything that you've done. It's almost like you're going to pull back. You're not going to take any more offers until you've really had a chance to think about the situation, and then you'll start afresh, whether that be a new relationship or going back to this previous one. But your angels, especially with the Temperance, because there are plenty of lessons where you could just go through and start dating people and not even think about it, like be like, oh well, I'm just doing what I want to do. I do think that you have a conscience. The other thing is that Steady Progress. We acknowledge you for the progress you've made in remembering love in your daily activities. We can clearly see the contribution you're making to the world through your thoughts, feelings, and actions of love. So, one other way that I can kind of read this is that, sometimes when you have been going through, when you've had a long road to love, when you refuse to let it make you bitter, one other way I can read this is maybe you have had a lot of heartache. You've had a lot of relationships not work out. And instead of becoming bitter about it, you help other people with your experience, or maybe you become you become loving. Like, again, we talked about being family, even if you're not blood related, being family to others. But I do almost get, I do from this, I do almost think that it's you wanting to go back to someone from your past, but you had some lessons to learn. And I think that the fact that you're learning these lessons and that you're growing from the experience, I think it's going to put you into a position where you're very balanced moving forward, and you'll be able to start again. And something about, you will get your 10 of Cups. I do think that you'll get your 10 of Cups. I just think, there's some balance. The other thing I kind of get from this is that it's when you're dating, it's very hard to not make someone else your world, right? And that's one of the things is that, sometimes we get so caught up, we think what we had was the only thing in the world that would ever make us happy. But there are 2 cups that remain, right? There might be something better out there for you. And sometimes these hits and misses are just, these trials are just meant to make you stronger, to help you love yourself. and not put any expectation on other people, right? But I do think that I think that maybe moving forward you might have a little bit of a break. You might be taking a break from dating, but when you're ready, once you feel balanced, once you have that sense of self-worth, and once you've really kind of looked back at your previous experience and you get yourself grounded, you'll be ready to start again. And I think the angels are really telling you that it is hard. It's hard, because all you want is your 10, right? You just want to be happy, right? I hear that all the time. I just want to be happy. But it does. It's not easy, and sometimes you do have to go through a few experiences, and these are different animals, so this could be different relationships. So, but definitely hang in there. And I think when you've learned so much, and when you come from that place of internal balance, that it'll come right into your life, and it is going to be what you need and what you want. Wow, guys. Oh my gosh. All three of these piles are really deep. But I thank you so much for joining me today. I do post a video every Saturday for the weekly energy card readings, so I hope that you can stop back by for that. And just to wrap up, I can't believe it, guys. That is the last of that's the 10th card of the Cup suit. So now, moving forward, we only have the Court to go, and that's 4 more How to Tarots, guys, and then we are all done. So one more month, and then we are going to be wrapping up the How to Tarots. I'm really in awe. It's been a wonderful journey. But I thank you so much for catching this video. If you are enjoying my content, I would be very grateful if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope that you have a good week. See you in the next video. Bye.